What's a word that everyone seems to use that is hurting our industry? It's the word prospect. At Veritas, we believe how we use certain words and terms can shape the way we think about donors. Donors are human beings who have shown us they are invested in our mission. Calling donors prospects dehumanizes them, and we believe it's not donor-centered. In this podcast, Richard and I discuss the word, how we need to get rid of it, and why we need to put the humanity back into our donors, as it shapes how we think and feel about them.
Welcome to the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group, featuring Richard Perry and Jeff Schreifels. Twice a month, we bring you the latest and best thinking about major gift fundraising, so you can develop authentic relationships with your major donors. Here are your hosts, Richard and Jeff.
Hey everyone, welcome to Nothing But Major Gifts podcast. I'm Jeff Schreifels.
And I'm Richard Perry.
And we are going to have a great time today.
We sure are. Yeah, this is one of our favorite topics we're going to talk about.
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
All right, folks. Here's what we want to talk about today. One word. Prospects.
Oh.
Now,
ooh,
why do we want to talk about this so badly, Richard?
well, because we often hear out in the marketplace, and I think it's an embedded word in the psyche and the lexicon of of fundraisers in general, not just major gift fundraisers. The word prospect, calling donors prospects.
Yeah. So we often hear from most major gift officers or the director of major gifts, they talk about their donors and they say, well, they're prospects.
I know. And like, and the thing,
what
you mean? What do you mean a donor is a prospect? Which then gets to like I asked somebody once, like, well, why do you say that? Why do you say your current donor who's giving you, $2,000 or whatever, you're referring to that human being as a prospect? Why are you doing that? Well, because we're looking to the next gift, and so they're a prospect for the next gift. Oh,
yeah.
So really, you're just considering them an economic unit.
Or they'll say, well, they're a prospect to become a major gift donor. That's the way they think about, a prospect.
Yeah, for major gifts, they might think of it that way. But boy, we hear a lot of language. How many? Let's go out and talk to the prospects, and it's So I just love studying this whole thing about words. What does it mean? Like when you look at the definition of the word prospect, it's a person likely to succeed as a potential donor to help another person or organization. So if you break that down, it's a person. So that's good. Mm-hmm. At least we have a human being stuck in there. Likely to succeed. This is about an expectation that this person may give. There's a strong possibility. So likely. Yep. So like a potential donor against the that's that possibility word. Potential is in there. Something that's good, and it, quote, may happen to help another organization. So that's the right destination, but it's likely. Now, I mean, Jeff, how does that contrast to the definition of a donor?
Well, a donor is really a person who gives something to help a person or an organization.
So they give. You might want to break that down.
Well, okay. So again, we got a person.
So what? Good. We actually have a human being in there
who's giving something.
Oh, they're actively giving.
Yeah, they're actively engaged. There's no hoping they'll give. There's a clear understanding of what they do. They're an active part of what you're doing.
They're giving. They're
helping a person or something, planet, whatever.
So the difference between the two words, prospect and donor, is a prospect is likely to do something. And a donor is actively doing something.
Right.
Likely to have an economic, a future economic thing versus one that's actually engaged in giving to us now.
So why are all these major gift teams calling these donors prospects?
Well, first of all, they probably grew up that way. I have noticed that in fundraising for universities and education systems, that word prospect is used all the time. We have 66,000 prospects. No, you have 66,000 donors.
Right.
And it's just the wrong label. It dehumanizes the donor and puts the donor in a different place, which is why we object to it.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think this is hurting our industry?
Well, because it has everybody thinking in terms of the economic view of a human being. And you and I both know, Jeff, that when you treat donors as sources of cash, then what happens is those donors are basically they feel that they're treated that way. Yep. And there's no effort made to uncover their passions and interests. And you've written about the spirituality of fundraising, that it's a mystical, it's kind of even a mystery of how it happens. It's a sacred thing. And we're not talking about religion here, folks. It's basically a very sacred, special thing. So when you use the word prospect, you're actually reducing that down to an economic unit.
Yeah.
And that affects the donor. It affects how if you use the word that way, how you treat them.
Yes.
I mean, think about if they're just an economic unit, well, why should I care about reporting back what difference their giving has made? I got the money. Yep. That's all I care about.
Yeah, we you're right. We're dehumanizing a donor by calling them a prospect. And gosh, we're not taking into account that they're people who have passion and interests and care and about what we're doing. They want to change the world. And we're calling them these, we're using language that doesn't take that into account.
I know. Well, and here's the funny thing. I mean, if you think about this in the commercial context, Jeff, so let's say Bill, who's the owner of a retail store, he sees that his customer has come in the store.
Yeah.
And so that would be a person who had been in the store before.
Right.
And actually bought stuff. Or it could be a person who came in the store yesterday and bought stuff. The point is, it's a customer and he's bought something.
Yeah.
Now, so Bill introduces this customer to another customer by saying, I'd like you to meet my prospective customer. Huh?
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't do that. What that retailer would do is they'd say, hey, Jeff, you know what? I'd really like you to meet Ann here, a really good customer of ours. So in the commercial world, they've got it all straightened out. If you're a customer, you're a customer. You're not a prospective customer.
Right.
Why is it in the nonprofit world we now? I suppose. I mean, there is room for the word prospect.
Yeah. So how would we use that? If it's the prospect would be somebody who's not a donor.
They've never given to you.
That's a prospect.
That's a prospect.
Yes.
Or a prospective donor.
Prospective donor.
And in all organizations, they have a whole system for
hopefully.
Well, most of them do.
But you know what happens sometimes? They put it on the major gift team to go out and find prospects who are not donors.
Right. So, but the donor acquisition function in an organization, which is the beginning of the what we call the major gift pipeline, is where a legitimate use of the word prospect. I mean, it's legitimate to use that word because they are not donors. Now, why are we talking about this kind of ad nauseum?
Yeah, what's your problem with it?
Well, it's because we have, Jeff, looked at donors as these very, very special, precious human beings who are incredibly valuable in addition to their economic contribution to the enterprise. And so we feel strongly about that. That's why we feel protective and we feel on their behalf almost defensive. It's like, would you stop name calling these donors, these wonderful, good people who have given money? Stop engaging in a practice that doesn't acknowledge their giving, because that's what you do when you call them a prospect.
If you're thinking about being donor centered and being a donor-centered organization or donor-focused, which, in the last 10 years or so, the industry has been trying to move and use that language. And it's probably, we just haven't caught up with that. Because if we were donor-centered, we wouldn't use that term prospect.
Exactly.
And so it's possible that we're just not caught up. And so I think we're urging everyone to stop using that name and to start using other things. The donor, talking about the donor in a way that's respectful
and honoring. Well, like, for instance, if you met a donor in the hall, or you met him on an airplane, or you met him out in a retail environment, would you introduce them as a prospect? Like, well, hey, Jeff, I'd like you to meet Ann here, a really great prospect of ours. Actually, this is an interesting test. I mean, for you that are listening right now, run that by in your own mind. Would you actually introduce your good donor that you're now calling a prospect? If you actually met them face to face and you had somebody encounter them out in the marketplace, would you introduce? You wouldn't. I don't think you would.
No.
So why do you call them that in private?
I know. Words are powerful. We train ourselves by using those words, and we act what we talk about. If they're a prospect, it's a completely different mindset than this is a donor who really cares about our mission.
They're engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we would act differently.
We would. So I suppose that and I don't suppose what we're trying to do is change the language of an industry that's been going on for decades, calling donors prospects. And why are we doing that? Because a donor deserves to have a higher standing not only in the mind of the sector, the nonprofit sector, and in the culture of the sector, but also in the mind of the individual people that relate to those donors. So that's why we want to elevate it. And then secondly, it does make better economic sense to think of them as donors versus prospects. Why? Because you hang on to them longer.
Yeah.
There's less value attrition. There's a greater chance of transformational giving. It's going to affect your strategies and how you think about them and all your moves management stuff, because now you've moved into a whole different plane of activity and strategic thinking.
Yeah. So this just happened to me last week. I was at an organization and we're just starting to work with them. And the head of Major Gifts was telling us about, here are all their major gift officers, and here are the donors that are currently on their caseloads. And then he said, and then we've got all these prospects out here that we hope that they'll eventually get onto a caseload. Yeah. I said, hold on. They're not prospects. These are actually donors of yours, right? Well, yeah. So they're not prospects. They're donors who you're trying to qualify to become a major donor, potential major donor.
Yeah, yeah.
And he stopped and he said, you know what? You're right. I'm going to stop using that. And so that's basically what we all need to do, little by little.
Right.
Stop that language of prospect. Because it was just, he said it just like, well, we got all these prospects. I'm like, wait, these are donors. And he just stopped. Mm-hmm. He's like, huh.
So what are we wanting people in? Obviously we want them to stop using the word prospect, but what is it we want people listening to this podcast to do with the information that we're sharing right now?
Well, one is to really look at all of the people within their database as their donors. Mm-hmm. Donors, thinking them as donors, thinking them as people who want to change the world, and start using that language. And I don't know what else.
Well, I think we want folks to examine their own value system as it relates to donors. I mean, what are your values and beliefs about people that give money to you? I mean, because if you continue to use the word prospect, it means that in our judgment, and then we're not trying to be judgmental, but in our judgment, you actually have a flawed value and belief system as relates to donors. One that views them as an economic source and an economic unit, versus one that views them as a partner and a precious asset and colleague. It's about mutuality and all that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we want you to stop using the word prospect, but even more fundamentally, we want you to examine your values basis and your belief system around donors.
Yeah,
because that we together, I mean, you listening right now to us and us here at Veritas, as well as in other organizations, we want together to change the culture of philanthropy.
That's right.
To valuing donors.
Yeah. And you have that ability, listening. Yeah, that's one thing. People often feel like they don't have the ability to make change.
That's just me.
But we do.
Yeah.
One at a time.
Yeah. Well, we're going to keep talking about this.
Yeah, we will. Hey, folks, we have a great free resource for you today. If you go to our website, you'll notice that we have a bunch of downloads. And one I want to point out is a white paper called The 6 Reasons Nonprofits Fail. And this is part of one of those reasons why they fail. But this is a great resource for you. We've had many people download this particular white paper. And so 6 Reasons Nonprofits Fail. Go to www.veritasgroup.com and get the free resource.
And that's Veritas with a U, not an A.
Oh, got it.
Veritas.
Yep, we get that mistake a lot.
Yeah. Write us and get engaged on this topic. This is a great resource. We enjoyed writing it.
Yeah.
And it's been very helpful for a lot of folks.
So thanks for listening and have a great week.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group. Richard and Jeff also write an ongoing blog that you can subscribe to for free at veritasgroup.com. Please join us again next time.